Yo, yo. Yes, yo, you don't stop. Big John's here, rocking the shore shot. How we doing, everybody? What's going on? What's up? What is going down? Doing the thing we do, me and you, the Mayo Media crew. Hanging out, we're wrapping up this offseason, getting ready for MLB 2024. We got just a couple more people to hop into this next dinger. Feel free. Sign up. Use the promo code MMN. It's up there in the corner somewhere over the left shoulder. Mirror Tech, not my forte, but hopefully winning 100K. Best ball is. Can you feel me? Let's go. Thanks, everybody, so much for the comments and the feedback. This stuff's been really, really great. I mean, I hate to admit it, but that's how you make these things happen. You know, how many times I've been on the other end, me, if you can't tell, I try and bring the best content I can because I was a consumer. Before I was here on the Mayo Media Network, MMN, baby, Mr. Mayonnaise is the GOAT. I was on his show, PME, that will probably be out today. We did some MLB futures. You know, I brought the long bombs, baby. Brought the long bombs. You know how I go, all right, we're waiting. We are live. Let's go. Okay, what I drew the 2. I am going to bring you the draft board view. I'm getting a little better with this every single day. And then I could kind of use my own ranks. If you'd like those ranks, they are available. Check me out on Twitter at John Legeza, JOHNLEGHEZZA, John Legeza. Flow sharper than a razor. Yeah, baby. All right, so this bad boy is about to kick off in just a few seconds, 20 seconds or so. Remember, best ball, no waivers, no adding, no trading. Love it. It's for really busy people with a life that want to put their skills to the test for lots and lots and lots of ashkaro, lots of cash money, baby. $10 entry, 100K up top. Use my ranks. Check me out on Twitter. It's going to put you right into the playoff picture if you take enough swings. I feel really confident that, right? You can't guarantee we're going to win this bad boy. Wish I could. But I have done an absolute metric ton of these drafts. 16 weeks in the regular season, then 3 sets of 2-week playoffs. We are at number 2. I've got a Mr. Juan Solo, Empire striking back for the New York Yankees, hopefully. We'll see how that works out. Yeah, it's funny. I'm like a tremendous Yankee fan, if you don't know, but I'm one of those pessimistic Yankee fans because, again, they kind of suck. They're not very well run. They overspent, and now they're kind of paying the price for that. DJ LeMahieu, looking at you, $15 million a year. Don't worry, everyone. He's 35. All right, that's young, right? Baseball terms. But don't worry, he only has another 3 years left. Starting the year on the IL. LeMahieu, yeah, and the Yankees kind of suck. But Soto should be great. He's playing for lots and lots of money. I actually think the Judge injury stuff is a bit overblown. I think the Yankees, at least on the hitting side, should be back in business, right? No Cole, the pitching struggling. I don't know how they're going to be in the win column. But the offense should click back. I think the entire East is going to click back, including the Blue Jays. They kind of had a rough go last year. I just think they bounced back as a whole. If you're unfamiliar to these drafts, you jump on Underdog. Promo code is MMN. It's up there in the corner. They're going to match $100. If it's free, it's for me. Then be smart. We're at 98% fill, so we're almost done here. But I tweeted about this earlier. Again, check me out on X, John Legeza. Flow sharper than a razor. Yeah, there's still some edges. There have been echoes of people feeling like it's too late to jump in because of CLV and perhaps some value lost. And while I think there's something to be said for that, right? We're not going to, that's kind of crazy to ignore it. I've done these drafts the whole way. I'm more excited about these later teams than I am about the older teams because it's very hard to take zeros and succeed. There were a couple of best ball goats up in the comments with us yesterday. If you haven't seen them, there's at least 2 of these drafts before. You know me, man. We're bringing it hot and heavy. 115 EV off the crack of the bat. It's strategy. We'll go through some player take stuff, general strategy, micro and macro. As you know, hopefully we're charging towards 100K. Again, my rankings are available. Underdog does a fantastic job. Very easy to use. Really great interface. But almost sometimes you can be too good at something, and sometimes less is more. The rankings, their player ID sheet has like 4,500 players on it. Now I'm going to tie it into where there's that plus EV. I go through it, I filter it out, and I only have 390 players. Now remember, it's 12 teams and 20 picks is 240. So my 390 is way beyond the fold. But where that does come in handy are the players that haven't really been drafted. Let's say youngsters, generally players that win rotation spots or win everyday spots in the lineup that weren't drafted. So, right, you could see the two fold. That's our first bowl spinning. If you're unfamiliar, first reference incoming. If you remember the Gong Show, Ed McMahon show, maybe if you're a little bit older, hi-oh, gong. That guy used to spin bowls on sticks with the circus music playing. Those are my favorite. That's my favorite analogy for critical thinking, right? Each bowl is a thought, a piece of the conversation, and providing you come back to it. Shout out to Lionel for that one. That's the best analogy ever, right? Again, I like to leave stuff that maybe you could use outside, resonate. We say, man, rolling with Johnny's really kind of making me sharp, not just in the streets, but outside, right? So as long as you come back to the bowl and give it another spin, you can have as many as you'd like. There's no limit to the amount that you could spin, and providing you get to all of them in time to come back. And it's the same way with conversation, thought, building complex second order thinking and stuff like that. But if you lose it, then you lose it, and people could fall away. Hopefully, when you come here, you never know where the conversation is going to go, because I think that's how thinking is, right? That's how learning is. We can't predetermine the direction all the time. Back into the draft room while you're here. If you looking at the draft board up in the video screen, the first 8 picks in this draft, 10 out of 11 were all outfielders. That's what you get, right? Because in Underdog, right, we're here to help you win it. It's pitcher, infielder, outfielder. By combining all the positions together, it doesn't really change the outfield landscape. It really changes the infield landscape by broadening it, right? There's 4 full-time positions, first, second, third, short. There's also a halftime position. The reason I say that, you don't really want too many catchers. You do want ones that can get you to 600 plate appearances. That's a big deal. Will Smith and the Dodgers, not so much with Ohtani. Maybe Contreras on the Brewers. Maybe Logan O'Hoppe, guys that can. But if you can avoid taking catchers, you'd like to, though. I really do have a soft spot for Contreras because of where he goes. Of course, Price always being at the center of decision-making in the best ball streets. Bam, how do you like that? Feather in a cap. Make sure you're signed up to Underdog First Deposit Match. $100. If it's free, it's for me. The promo code is MMN. Me and Mr. Mayonnaise doing the thing that we do. You know, the ding thing. All right, so we're up next. Again, I like to prioritize outfielders. I really think you need to. Let me make these 2 picks, and then we'll talk about the roster construction and the structure. I think that's probably the question that I get the most. We'll address that in some detail in just a second. I'll allude to it here, right? You have some decision-making. I did put in the thing 0P build. So I have Luis Robert and Mike Trout, then Corbin Burns, Trey Turner, Rafael Devers. I have Robert. I'm surprised he's fallen this far to pick 23. He's normally hasn't been there in the past couple of days. Trout ADP in front of him. I think I'm going to go with Robert over Trout. Pair it with Soto. Kind of get the power, speed, big top side, right? I think Robert's still carrying an injury-prone tag, but to me, if you just had a 625 plate appearance season and you're healthy right now, and you're young, I don't know, you're healthy. You know, if you figured out how to predict injuries perfectly, please let me know. Get up in the comments, and I'll give you a job, and you could be a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? So on the wrap, there was Turner. Again, we're going to go 0P because I have a million of these. I don't necessarily recommend 0P on a single bullet, although, and this is what we're going to get into with the roster construction. See, as we're spinning bowls. Hopefully, oh man, this guy is decent at this stuff. Get in the comments, let us know how you're doing. Tag Patty Mayo on social media. You know, he loves that stuff, I'm sure. I don't even care, man. Remember, there's the rising tide that lifts all boats. We have a 300 thing going on, right? We give the books nothing. We take from them everything. You know, working together is the failings, right? One failure in the shield is a failure of all, right? We're not looking to lose anyone here. We're all kind of working together. So we're on the clock again. Now I have Burns because it went Trout, Turner, right? You can see my ranks are custom, but they're going to kind of be in line. I've actually found I've had some people use my own against me. So I'm going to go with the next hitter, which is Rafi Devers, who I think has 35, kind of 40 homer potential. The reason I was thinking through that, where some people might have said, oh, geez, Rafi Devers as a third hitter pick is fantastic. Well, the thing that it comes down to is construction, right? So this is where we're going to be changing elevation, right? Working away from the kind of the grundoons, right? The grunt work in the trenches, right up close, hand to hand fighting. Sometimes you got to get up in the Zeppelin, up in the blimp. You can tell I'm like a history guy, right? And see the broader spectrum, right, of attack, because understanding the broader battlefield may help shape the immediate decisions, right? And that's where I want to go when it comes to roster construction. Because of the position combinations, amalgamations, whatever you want to call it, it's so lopsided as far as availability goes at the end, right? That's why you get the faccia bruta right here, the big face, the big ugly face. So you can look me right in the eyes and let me tell you. And that's what it is, right? Because 30 teams, 3 starting outfielders, in theory, leaves 90. However, right, butt, big shaking butt, the big card noses and dish soap and stuff like that. The little kiddie pool. It's always in a kiddie pool. And the pressure's always very low. I don't know, but I love those videos anyway. You got to weigh you have to weigh the build, right? So because there's so much platooning going on, right? That's the but. There's not really 90. So I usually challenge people every stream in their own kind of mind to come up with the amount of starters that they feel that there are, right? How many starters do you think there are? How many starting outfielders? What I mean starting outfielders, every single day players, right? With potential to pop, or could do just a touch with the scoring. Because again, understanding the different elevations will help us know where to aim. Let me just check the board again. Okay, we're making the turn. We'll come back in just a second. You need to answer how many of those legit starting outfielders are that can score in spikes. Right? Remember, best ball scoring is automated, so you don't do any moves. But you do want spiky players. It's funny, season-long stuff can get you in trouble. You're looking for more per plate appearance impact. Again, I actually translated all of Derek Hardy's bat X projections into DK best ball, into these Underdog best ball as well, and have that stuff again on my sheet. Check me out on Twitter. It's a pinned tweet. And that's helpful because it's scored in weeks, right? Like I said, 16 regular season weeks. Then you go to 3 weeks of 3 sets of 2-week playoffs. You need to be in the top 2, right? So a player that's always providing a floor, there's something to be said for that. But too low of a floor. Like I almost worry about compilers. Like I got to worry about a Simeon. I don't think I have. I've done a million drafts. I don't think I have Simeon. Because one, he falls into the bin of infielders, which gets pushed back, right? Again, keeping that number. Did you answer it yet? How many outfielders are there? Well, when we think about the build, also within the structure of the format, 20 rounds, 3 sets of positions, pitcher, infielder, outfielder. Generally, people land on 7, 6, 7, some combination of that. I generally suggest always having at least 7 pitchers because they get hurt all the time. Plus, you want to take advantage of 2-start weeks. See how you could use the roster against the scoring, right? To use those things to maximize. Pitchers have an unusual ability to really rock scoring with 2 big starts in a single week. We don't control the calendar. How do you give yourself access to the calendar by having more bites of the apple? You don't want to go too far because you need hitters also 3 infield start, 3 outfield start, and a flex. So that's why I like to lean with the 13 hitters. Today, we're not going to do that, though, okay? Right? Today, we're not going to be doing that. Today, we're going 0P because we're going to mix our favorite combinations of 6 infielders and 6 outfielders and then go 8. So we're going to open the pathway to 8 pitchers, more bites of the apple to start weeks while prioritizing hitters, again, that are everyday players and hopefully the top third of the lineup, or if not in a good lineup with a lot of turnover, that'll get you access to the opportunities, the plate appearances again, to kind of pay the bills. So we have so far Juan Soto, Luis Robert, Rafael Devers. I've got Bo Bichette up next. I think I'm gonna go with Bichette. One, he's at the top of my rank. Also, I think again, I'm getting access to infielders I generally wouldn't go for. I do think, as I've done a lot of these drafts, even within the prioritization of outfielders, I think having one superstar infielder is cool. Meaning, let's say you're in the front of the first round, or let me just make this pick, and now we have Jazz Chisholm or Nick Castellanos. I think Chisholm is one of the kind of league winners. My underdog fate is going to ride or die with him. He's gone nuts in the spring. We know he's a topside player. People have labeled him injury prone. Oh, well, I don't think we're good at predicting that. So I'm going to take Jazz Chisholm at the 50th overall with a chance for him to be like a top 5 overall guy, right? Not say you're just blindly swinging for the fences, but to me, the price is right for somebody like that. All right, what's next here? Okay, so back to the balancing act of roster construction, where I think is really the core of all this. So because we're going to be balancing infielder and outfielder 6 and 6, yes, we're taking a little bit of risk, but we're going to need our guys to do the thing, right? When they used to ask, oh my gosh, that guy with the Colts, anything about like backup QB questions. We don't plan for Peyton Manning getting hurt. The idea being, if Peyton Manning gets hurt, the whole thing's shot anyway, right? So that's like, well, what Juan Soto is terrible this year? Well, if Juan Soto is terrible this year, there's a good chance the teams that have Juan Soto in the first round are dead, and that's why you balance out is another good lesson. Incoming. There's another reason why you need to balance the first round, no matter how strongly you feel about a player. I almost refuse to go outside of the norm of the 8 outfielders to start. If I'm a top 8 pick, I'm not getting cute. I'm taking an outfielder. Anything outside of that kind of opens a door to Strider, kind of opens a door to, then pick one infielder. I generally don't like to double tap 2 infielders to start, right? That's how much, and you're going to see this play out as we get to the end. You're going to see this play out, the availability, right? Because again, this is about starting players every day, top third of the lineup, good offense prioritized. As I do these streams, just literally in the past like 3 or 4 days, the round that the viable outfielders are Kaputski it went from like 18, which is 2 rounds before it's over, meaning you need a plan, to 16, to yesterday it might have been 14 or 15. Now, granted, I have a pretty high bar. Okay. Look, I have high standards. Yes, I have high standards. Because again, this is just a numbers game. And when we're talking about 3 outfielders, 30 teams, 90 outfielders, I didn't give my number. I like to think of 69, dude. There's 69 starting outfielders that are worth it in this format. You got to get what getting is good. Because if I just told you that the team, every team, each team at minimum wants 6 outfielders. Well, 6 times 12 is 72. Last I checked, that's greater than 69, dude. And now you're basically behind the 8 ball, right? In the average situation, somebody's left without viable players. What are we doing here? This is a shrunk format. There's no risk in, NFBC 50 round draft and hold 750 picks. We are picking guys that are still, 19 years old in Central America. No. You got to perform. You need guys that are going to hit the ground running. So when you think about now that you have that, right, we worked up the math of the outfield, the math of the infield that just kind of blows up. Because why? Even without catchers, let's eliminate catchers. There's only a couple that we care about. Fine. We're not going to misframe our math. So let's say first, second, third, sure. Okay, so yeah, I know some second basemen are mad, but again, I like some of the second basemen. It's a different age now. Like I like Julian and I like Nolan Gorman. So right off the bat, 4 infielders at 30 teams is 120. How many are viable? And that's not because I think infielders are so great. It's just that percentage bumps up, So you go from the 69 to, you got to add at least, 20 for the position, 15. 85, what does that mean? It says a round and a half worth of viable players that are basically like undrafted. You know what I mean? Like they're not going. So now we're going to put a bow on the construction stuff, right? I think you always need 7 pitchers. Like even if I took 6 starters to start, I don't like that strategy because they just get hurt too often. Okay, let's make these 2 picks, and we'll put a bow on roster construction. talk about some late round stuff now. Again, I have like almost nothing but um, pitchers. I'm actually hoping Jordan Walker falls. Okay, so although it's funny, somebody may be looking at this and what do you mean fall? I'm looking at it now. Jordan Walker's ADP is 88 or pick 71. Like I don't care about that stuff. I don't care. I make my ranks so I can throw them in there on auto and come out with good teams. Walker's what, like 21 years old? I think, Sky is kind of the limit for this kid. I think he's going to be excellent. He's the top of my ranks. I'm taking him. And then I also have like a wave of pitchers. I'm getting a little bit nervous. I'll admit, I'm getting a little bit nervous because I'm seeing my favorite kind of tier. And I'm thinking about making an in. I wonder if we should do an in, like an in turn pivot. Maybe I just have to kind of contradict myself and almost ride with it. Where I mentioned before that I think you got to go for an ace in the infield. What I mean, right? That it's okay to take one because the position is so short that maybe you don't want to volume it to death. Or should I just be a man of my word? All right, let's roll this to be a man of my word. And I'm going to go with my next hitter, which I have is Riley Green. And I'm skipping over my entire tier. Freddie Peralta, Grayson Rodriguez, Bobby Miller, Cole Reagans, Logan Gilbert, Zach Eflin. Giving it away, baby. Freddie Peralta went right after me, the player I was looking at. The reason I say that right now, that it's the decision is made. We're back on the swing. Yep, such is life in the big city. I said I want to do 0P, so I want to put this to the test. And again, we never know. But again, I have enough Freddie Peralta for me in a small village as well. So maybe I won't like this build at the end, and the next one I do maybe will be 0P or quote 1P, player 1, P1. We kind of get one ace. You're relying on for big topside play, and it would be any of those guys. Right, Grayson and Gilbert, Bobby Miller. I think any of those pitchers could finish as the SP like 1 overall, which again is really fantastic because we're in the 7th round. So I think that all show right as we speak through it. I'm sure there's some new people. If you're brand new, you sign up. You want to support your boy in the best show you never knew about. Join Underdog. Use the promo code MMN up there over the shoulder. Had to let them know Big Johnny sent you $100 match first deposit. Don't spend it all. Once a regular season starts, we're bringing you a live stream daily with an Underdog parlay. I am really looking forward to do a little bit more of the, pick breakdown stuff that people are probably more used to me doing. But, these live streams, you can't do player analysis. You better have your player analysis done or be using my ranks, right, to make sure you're locked and loaded. I think is first and foremost. Again, I kind of cull my ranks every day, dropping players that are hurt, adding players that are new. And like I mentioned before, that's that second kind of attack vector to try and actually make money in this tournament if you jump in late, right? It's not just me trying to convince you because again, enough subscribers, and this show may stay on for a long time, right? Which is what I'm hoping for. But in reality, right, jumping in late can be scary if you're losing value on players, as I'm mentioning, people getting pushed up, but again, not taking zeros, right? So I'm sure if I look through, I probably have some ridiculously good teams. But if they have Yuri Perez and Matt McClain, two guys I know I really, really liked on both sides of the ball, these teams are kind of dead. So, you could dream on the CLV. People do this in football too. You get involved a little too early, pieces move. We're coming in at the end. I'm not saying you can't win that way, but I am saying it's not like the answer is that way, right? I think the best way is not just to play constantly, but play slowly throughout. And what ends up happening is almost like I was vocalizing with you is, you end up seeing changes in the market in real time. You'll see things change, and then, you could help. That'll help you, again, making decisions, right? Using elevation down in the ground dunes, down with the grunts, hand grenades, but knowing where their next hill is, right? Knowing where the airstrike might come in, knowing where the body of water is, right? To shape that decision, because the decision in the trench, made wrong usually ends one way, and it's not good. It's usually not briefing. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that in best ball streets, but you want to treat it that way, right? We're here, but Think about how good you have to be. Like, where else in life you have $10, you're going to turn it into 100K, right? And you don't. I don't say you don't have to work for it, but like you're kind of doing the work now. Like, forgetting about it. Like that, right? It's not that you don't have to work for it; it's that you've already worked for it. Is what I mean, right? There's no managing, right? Where a lot of the best fantasy players, I'm not going to name any names. Excuse me one second. Not going to name any names, but sometimes even the best fantasy players, I see their drafts, and I'm unimpressed by some of the decisions, but they're so very good in season, great process, never ending work ethic, right? Always chopping at the tree, really great strategy, fully focused. That's different than this. This is you and me, 10 other people fighting it out. Now, granted, there's the overall, but you have to get to the playoffs first, right? That's first and foremost. So you could see by the board a wave of outfielders go, then a wave of pitchers go. So you could kind of move with the crowd and still have a really good team. My worry, of course, is that you're kind of going to be duped, in a bunch of spots. So we have Devers, Bichette, Soto, Robert, Chisholm, Walker, Green. Next up, I got James Abbott. I'm sticking with what I do. And again, like I'm not ashamed to bash people over the head with outfielders because I have so few viable outfielders right again. Not your strong numbers. We mentioned it. I have so few viable outfielders. The quicker I can get to my six, right? We're not seven, or in this case, we knew we were doing six, but if we're racing to outfielders, you cap it at six, seven for the infield, use the volume to back up into that kind of backfill, right? Into that surplus. Filled in with the best pitching that you can balance, right? You're taking your shots at guys with big strikeouts. Again, I've chased the big upside guys. I'm not ashamed, right? Tariq Skubal and Cole Reagans later on. Again, Miller and Race Rodriguez, right? To get Chris Sale and Tyler Glass now. Again, these guys are all like third round or later picks. That you could have that rotation. Again, only three starters, so you could kind of fill and walk away, and then you chop as you go. There's a lot of ways to Oh, did I get? Wait. I thought I got. I'm sorry. I retched on air. I thought I got autoed a pitcher, and I didn't want that. But I would have got autoed a outfielder. So we're going to skip down to infielders. Let's see. I got Rhys Hoskins. Come on down. Again, kind of buying low after the lost season last year. I still call it Miller Park. I don't do this corporate name stuff. I honestly don't care. To me, that's the stupidest thing in sports. Yankee Stadium. Fine, Miller Park, right? Fenway Park. If you have a good name, you have that. If not, your blank park, Orioles Park. I guess Camden Yards. Sorry, O's fans, but I just can't be doing North American West Quadrant Bank Stadium. What do you mean? It's not that anymore. It's P&G. So it's also dumb. It's also stupid. But it's a great hitting environment. So other drafts, right, where I still pushed outfielders, but instead pushed pitchers. Hoskins, I have a lot of teams where he's probably my number one infielder. And again, if you find number one infielder, because there's six other guys, Hoskins should hit 35 bombs, and right, you need him to, again, spike at the right time. You need him to spike during his homestands, and hopefully other guys kind of balance it out. But again, the pathway to Rhys Hoskins being good at that price is not, hard to imagine. Let's take just a quick sec right here. Me kind of is the that you're being responsible, because I know I have a part in this, right? I'm out here kind of spending all the time. But it's true, but I also assure you, it's very responsibly regimented into a account. I absolutely guarantee you this. Listen, it's not just the algo and I'm smarter than anybody. That's not how I approach these things. I'm I'm well funded, but also because I'm back tested and built here. If anyone doesn't know my story, right, I was an electrician in New York City. I was into sports betting and derivatives trading anyway, but I ended up getting hurt, having spinal surgery. I can't do that work anymore, right? So I moved into sports betting at first. Being hurt doesn't pay the bills, and kept the lights on, my home going. I got two young kids, smoking hot wife, all that stuff. Kept these things afloat. Betting in the sports market because of the overlap from trading, but at the center of it is always risk management. In fact, best ball. That's why I like the promo cash. Promo cash is a good place to play. Put yourself in a plus EV position to really cash out, right? To really crush. But it's better than live cash. Again, best piece of advice if you're listening to the last episode. We talk about this in depth. Feel free to go back there and press the like button because that stuff just matters more than it should. Again, you like the show, you want it tomorrow. Every day you want to see it the next day, you just gotta press the stupid finger. I know it's stupid, and it's stupid, right? You're smart. That's why you're here listening to me. Like, this is a thing that we kind of know, but you gotta press cartoon fingers. Like, again, nobody sits down with you. I've done a million of these meetings. People do not sit down and say, "Hey, are you funny? Are you compelling? Are you smart?" That does not come up. Okay, that's just not part of it at all. Okay, it's how many likes, how many followers. That's really it, right? It's analytically driven. It's algorithmically driven. Excuse me, 1 second. All right, sorry about that. I forgot my water, and I had to scream to my much better half. Help me out. I'm dying. I'm dying here. Believe it or not, talking not always so easy. Speaking of my better half. Thank you, beautiful wife. Appreciate it. Go get yourself a hot wife, people. I highly recommend. But to do that, you got to be a good guy. You got to be smart. You got to be funny. You got to say things that matter. You got to have purpose. Surround yourself with positive people. Again, right? We like lessons that matter here. Patty Mayo, right? He doesn't just bring in normies. Obviously, you gotta roll with the Mayo. You want to roll with the Mayo crew, man. You gotta finish our bill, right? Again, I take it with pride. I take it with pride. I know I'm a little funky. I know it. I know it. But I think I got some swag. That's okay. Gotta be a little spicy sometimes. That's okay too. Sweet sometimes. That's okay. Sour sometimes. That's okay. Variety is a spice of life. I knew it was a word I thought it would be. Oh my gosh, help us all before I get canceled. All right, so we're coming up again. Let's take a look at the roster. So we did like roster construction. I'm feeling good about this stream. So we have 3 infielders, 6 outfielders. So remember, we've capped our outfield acquisitions, which I absolutely love. There's still some guys I like. Granted, I'm not saying you have to force outfielders. I like them better than the infielders available, knowing that we were waiting on pitching, right? Again, so many people enter this contest, so many people using similar ranks, so many people using ADP. And then again, it's a very limited set. So if a few stars really go off that were available in an order that people could get them, you're going to be going up against a lot of people. It's going to take one player different that's going to settle this thing. So I want to have a few darts in there that are just completely out there, right? And again, we're going to get into the names later because obviously I'm going to draft these people, but because I have access to now 8 pitchers in the back end, I'm going to try and go out of my way to get guys that I don't think have really been drafted. Oh, I love this. We've got. I have my most underrated player here. I don't want to wait because I do not want to get sniped on him because I really want him. Christian Encarnacion Strand. All his projections are wrong because they were all done before the Marte suspension and then before McLean got hurt. Christian Encarnacion Strand is like literally one of the best young hitters in baseball. I'm hoping Willie Adames falls. That was the other infield that I had queued up to kind of pair him with Hoskins, right? You can get a nice 2-3 Milwaukee stack. Adames playing for money, Hoskins again coming off the injury. I mean, they could be excellent again. Great hitting environment. He goes Horner. I'm not loving Horner for the steals. I'm sorry if you're listening to this, but hey, listen, maybe Horner sticks the thumb right in my eye. I don't know. I just go by, my work and my projections. Stick my flag foot in the ground, and hopefully it holds. I have not personally. Man, I don't want to say I haven't done well in these tournaments in the past. I have sent a ridiculous percentage to the playoffs. You can check it. My Twitter handle. They're out there. And I've just been really unlucky with injuries, right? Because that's a part of it, right? If you find yourself down to 3 starters this week, and I happen to miss key players, like top of my head. Hold on. So all right, let's pull in Adames. That was a really productive turn for us. going Strand and Adames. So that brings us to 5 infielders. So now we need one more infielder, and then we're going to go pitchers all the way out. I'm going to keep an eye. I don't want to name. I know I'm giving away so much for nothing. I don't want to name. I don't want to name the pitchers. I really don't want to get sniped on them. There are not that many of them. I think there are enough. I think there are enough late pitchers to kind of get some of the boys in here, but like there are pitchers on the event team that I would not recommend for this. And you say, hey man, how could you put him on a $1,700 fantasy team and not in a $10 underdog digger? It's different. That's 15 teams, it's 30 rounds, 450 players opposed to 240. Even if you subtract the relievers and the catchers and stuff, it's a lot. It's a big difference. You know, the pickings are really slim. You're almost just looking for a heartbeat. Heartbeat's not going to do it in Dinger. We're looking for swing and miss ability with a starting role in opening day. Again, I'm not the zero guy. I'm not saying that you can't do it. We actually had some really interesting feedback from both Sheep and Baseball, BEISBOL, and Sheep is Dark Sheep. You could catch them on my Twitter handle also. Make sure you're check those guys out on X. They do really good best ball work as well. Right, strategy, but player takes also, and Tuma also. Yeah, they're all doing really good stuff. But I almost, it's funny, it's like a spray. You don't hear it generally. It's like not a faux pas, but it's just like not a thing you hear. People going across brands to elevate other people. But like, I mean, you need to know what's out there. And I mean, you're not going to beat any of those guys easily, right? It's just that's not how it is, right? And we know Sedler is floating around in these streets, Siege is floating around, some sharp cats floating around. It's nothing knock anyone that's not public. And people know that I overestimate my competition. I see those red experience badges, and I know that, there are really, really sharp unknowns. That's why I always laugh at people that look to like handpicked at main event leagues. I'm like, you may be better off with the devil right? Players that have been in public showing you their process and stuff like that, rather than someone that you don't know who could be following content everywhere, putting it together to beat you, which again, I get a ton, man. I get so much feedback of W's, my fantasy folk and betting stuff. I've been really fortunate, to put out now 3 profitable seasons in a row in MLB, public facing algo, which really is not easy. But pivot ain't easy, right? Okay, let's take a look where I want to start putting a little more time into these picks now, because again, we're getting ready to make our shift. I'm not upset about the pitching. Again, we're gonna be lacking topside, right? We're gonna be lacking topside, but that was part of it, right? What we lack in topside, we're going to try and make up in volume. And again, let's talk about this for a minute, because I've gotten a bit of pushback, and you should, right? I accept the scrutiny. You should scrutinize. I should accept scrutiny, right? These things must work together. Again, any content creator or people that do this stuff and aren't willing to be challenged are the wrong people, obviously, right? I'm wide open. I try not to make definitive claims, right? I do try and control as many of the output inputs as I can to kind of weave that tapestry of a positive output, right? But this is this. People are way too definitive. Right, so we're 5 picks away. We're going to scoop our last fielder. I've got Josh Naylor, Brian Hayes, Jake Berger, and Vinny P at the top. So again, there's just so many good infielders. We'll make sure at the very end to highlight some of the available infielders. You can see why my general strategy is that way. But I wanted to really mix it up before this bad boy closes. Again, if you haven't joined up yet, it's a perfect time. Remember the 2 attack vectors plus EV to sneak in, right? You could do the Ultimate Warrior running out of nowhere, SummerSlam 88, 30 seconds later, walk out with the IC belt, man. These things happen. Again, I'm going to help you get yourself in the plus EV position, right? That's what it's all about. And then from there, you're going to need a little bit of luck. Anybody that says you don't is either lying or stupid, right? Pure denial. Now, doing it with a single bullet's going to be hard, but the $100 matched, I think responsibly. I think I would I would suggest to somebody that the $100 meant something to, right? Not the world, but not nothing. To maybe play 3 to try and get 3 of these in, right? Pick a generic strategy, then like maybe one extreme strategy, maybe generic times 2. I'm gonna go with my favorite breakout player is Brian Hayes. So now we're 12 rounds in. We have 6 infielders, 6 outfielders. That's 12. There's 8 players left, and we're going to just go all pitching all the way out. I've got Tanner Bybee at the top, Jordan Montgomery, who's not back yet. I should probably bump him down. I'm going to later because, again, if he's not signed, he's going to need a little time. But with 8 pitchers, maybe Montgomery does kind of fit just fine. Ram is mentioning the no zero thing where we got good pushback from sheep and baseball that you can have zeros, but I think you just need one, right? Not that they were preaching anything other than that. But I had been going no zeros, and maybe I should be warming up to a zero layer. Like, yes, Montgomery, if you have an 8 pitcher strat, especially, maybe Montgomery, is vital. He's eventually going to come back, and you need a boost. We had darn, I can't remember what DeGrom is popping in my head, but it wasn't DeGrom that he mentioned. He mentioned Walker Buehler, right? Now, you're going to get some kind of midseason return, and then I don't like Walker Buehler. I never have. It's fancy nerd stuff. Bybee went into turn. I wonder if it's because I opened my big mouth or just because that player is sharp also. So we're looking at Jordan Montgomery, Michael King, Tristan McKenzie. All right, I don't have Montgomery. I am going to lean into the Montgomery because if Montgomery was signed, he'd be going much earlier. We haven't mentioned scoring yet. That's another one. So pitching, the big thing to know with pitching is a lot of it has to do with distance, right? You get a point and out, so you get 3 points an inning, but there's also points for quality starts. There's also points for wins. Those are obviously correlated, right? You can't get to a quality start without 6 innings. So you can't get that 25 without first getting the 18, right? The thing you need to know more than anything else is there's no penalty, no whip penalty, no walk or base hit penalty. There's a hefty earn run penalty, which again hurts players, I think, in bad ballparks or ones with home run issues. But in best ball, I don't know how much you're expecting out of it. I mean, I'm not taking a lot of them early. I mean, there's no Rockies being drafted anyway. Then there's Reds, and it's Hunter Green. You got to push Hunter Green back a little bit. Then it's Andrew Abbott, who we might end up with because Abbott again gets pushed back because of Cincinnati, because of the depth of pitching. He's also having a bit of a rough spring. None of those I really care about. Why? Because we're looking for spike weeks. We're looking for access to 2 starts. He gets 2 road starts in a week. Andrew Abbott could be huge. Let's go back. Now, keeping in mind what I mentioned about scoring, last thing on the no whip, Dylan Cease, Blake Snell, good. Right? Walk guys with big strikeout stuff, good. Right? The big bugaboo for them, is not really proportionally weighted, let's say. Okay, we got McKenzie went, Morton went. I'm not interested in Morton. But if you're looking at the outfielders, we're now in round 13. Lourdes Gurriel, I mean, he was pretty good. Let's not go nuts. JD Martinez, good pick with the Mets. Tyler O'Neill, Boston. Okay, so we're still at like everyday starters, right? I don't want to knock guys just because I may not be the biggest fan or they're not like my big roster guys that they're no good. No, that's not how I operate. I was getting a little bit worried about Tyler O'Neill because he already got banged up. He's always banged up. And they pushed Cedane Rafaela into the outfield. And I just worried about like Yoshida eating up the DH spots. That, like, I don't know, O'Neill has disciplinary issues sometimes. Like maybe he could be an outside looking in. Again, he's very, very talented. So let's be clear. Guys, the pitchers I mentioned are flying off the board. I was trying to avoid mentioning the pitching, but I always go into these things saying I'm being an open book. And if anyone even listens for a few minutes, right, I want to leave it with like, and make it so they, press the button because that stuff matters. Oh my God, way more than it should. Stupid like button. Oh my God, press the stupid like button. It matters so much more than it should. It's so stupid. Oh my God, what a dumb world we live in. So if you like me, stick your cartoon finger as far up inside me as it'll fit. What? All right, Vinny Pigo is again. We're not really interested in hitters. Every green and orange box, right? Those are your hitter designations. Is a jump for joy for us. Michael King went into turn. I do like Michael King. He's got real big upside on a per inning basis, right? And that's what we're looking for, right? That especially if you're going with this kind of very special 0P build, I think that should be the only concern. And then I think you also put some weight on quality of team, right? Because win matters. I wonder if I stung myself with that by going with Montgomery. Although I like to think it's going to be a good team that brings him in. But right now we have exactly one starting pitcher. It's round 14, and that's when you start to feel a little awkward. But let's see what we can do with it. Right now, I don't know how many people are doing this. Right, so we're hoping to be unique. We're also going to have to hit on a couple of these picks. We're going to have to hit on a couple of these youngsters, which again I feel pretty good about. Right, these are not just names. Right, these are guys I've done a bit of work on. I've kind of put my money where my mouth is on a lot of these guys, and this particular strategy for today's show came up because there are a lot of pitchers that I liked on the periphery. I wasn't drafting because I needed to know they're going to get the job. Now that they're getting the job, their ADPs are not properly reflecting my new values at all. Meaning, if we knew coming into the whole shebang, these guys were going to be starters, they might be going, rounds and rounds and rounds higher than you are right now. I just think it's way too early for Dean Kramer. I mean, I guess he's had a good spring. Like, right? Is that what that was? The Kramer pick is a spring pick, I guess. I mean, they've had injuries, so I guess the pathway is open. We're up next. Hold on, I'll get to that in a second. Remember, we're just interested in pitchers. Okay, I really like my next guy. So hopefully he goes. The player up now is 7 pitchers. I'm not expecting any more. Maybe there's one more and he stops at 8. He goes Parker Meadows, which I love that outfielder pick. Although Parker Meadows used to be a 20th round pick, now he's a 14th. So like even the outfielders that stick out end up getting sucked right up. I've got Bryce Miller, who I absolutely love on the Mariners. Brian Wu I think he's going to hit the IL with inflammation, so I don't think Miller needed a spot cleared, but the runway is wide open, right? Seattle is going to compete, and he's going to be a big part of it if they do. All right, I like each of my next 2. Guy to turn has 5 pitchers. He could take 1 or 2. Since he clipped me last time, I'm not going to say the guy I like and open my stupid mouth. He goes with Esther Ruiz, who I can be honest, I'm worrying about. They're already talking about role questions with him. We've seen them knock him down to the back end of the lineup. That's a couple of boxes that we're looking to avoid. I'm going to go with Kyle Harrison on the Giants. Again, right, big upside. We're looking for big swing and miss. We're looking for sophomores, guys that may have been kind of overlooked. We have a comment. How we doing? Shannon Lambert, welcome aboard. New to Underdog Baseball. Does this hitter scoring favor on base guys or power guys? That's a fantastic question. Hopefully you use the promo code MMN. Let them know how good of a job we're doing. Thank you really, really, really so much. That stuff just warms the heart, man. We're out there not just talking to anybody. I know this is a dirty dozen. Might be my new phalanx, right? As we join, get the spear, get the shield. Give the books nothing, but we take from them everything. Listen, you want to come talk your smack? No problem. You come right in. Welcome to Sparta. We walk over to the pit. Boom. Size 13 Birkenstock right in the pit. All right. So, yeah. Okay. On base. I'm actually glad you mentioned it because we did detailed a review of pitcher scoring, hitter scoring. It's an OPS. It's highly correlated to OPS. So, it's not, your answer is yes, right? So you asked me a or question. On base or power, my answer is yes. OPS is on base plus power. So it's use OPS with a slight towards power. Meaning, let's see, Berger is a great example. Berger just love Jake Berger, big time. Any guy that could hit home runs in bunches, right? So that's the other one. So it's another great point, Shannon. Again, I love this stuff. The back and forth, the door swinging both ways. Right, being open, being malleable, and then sharing, right? Not just showing someone how to fish. It's showing. If you show everyone how to fish, you end up with a culture of fishermen. Steve G looks fun. You bet your horse it is. Hurry up and join before this tournament fills. Again, you hit me up on Twitter. We'll get your ranks, get you set up, put you in a plus EV position right off the bat. First $100 cash match. Shannon says, I've done points leagues. You don't want strikeout guys. There is no penalty for strikeouts. See, now, again, that's a separate question, but another great question, right? So, again, people, we ask about on base versus power, but with the assumption for head-to-head leagues that there are strikeout penalties. You can be a good on base guy and strike out a lot. I guess they're not, I'm going to have to look into that. I guess you could, maybe it's not general, but so, right, there is no penalty for Ks. So you looking to chase home runs in bunches. Great point, Shannon, right? Great point. The reason being, right, best ball is scored using the optimizer in weak segments. A lot of times power guys hit in bunches, and that's all that matters. So if you have the right combination of power hitters in bunches, you're always going to have a full score, and that's what you're looking for. The problem that I have found with the hitters later on, especially, that are available later in the draft, that can hit home runs in bunches, are at playing time risk. We're already past them. So I mentioned how we need to keep an eye on the outfield getting ready to drop round 16, which is right where we are. We just started round 16. Round 15, Kerry Carpenter, Brett Rooker every day. Frelick, I don't know if he really fits his profile. Lars Nootbaar, Kepler, Brian De La Cruz. You could see it drying up, right? There's potential here, but these are not lock stock guys. It's not. Whereas the infielders, Jake Berger, Ezekiel Tovar, and Eugenio Suarez, are still top third of the lineup on a good team playing every day, right? And that's the distinction here. Watching the pitchers that I was hoping would be there fly off the board. Brandon Pfaadt, Brian Bayo, two guys were at the top two of my personal queue. And I'm starting to not like this build. And again, that's part of it, right? We're gonna roll it and then figure out what we think. Sometimes you gotta take the black eye, right? Sometimes you gotta eat that right hand. It's just kind of part of it. So it looks like we're gonna be eating a few of them, although I'm stacking up my pitching queue here. I forget one of my favorite pitchers, which I guess I can say because he's not available in this format, is Jared Jones. So if anybody's still doing fantasy drafts, Jared Jones made, oh my gosh, Connor Crawford goes, and Mackenzie Gore. Oh my gosh, my pitching ranks are out there somewhere. Oh my gosh, it just hurts because I even put my ranks on screen. So we're just getting clipped right up in. Again, I'm not going to recommend this. I'm not going to recommend this. We're going to try and close it out strong. We're still going to have volume. So we'll go Ryan Pepio, who again is very good. Ray's very good at maximizing pitchers. I've been a bit worried about the total workload. I think he had like 65 innings or something last year. So it's hard to think he's going to get to. He ain't getting to 200, right? And again, we just need him to get to $150. Is he going to get to $150? It's hard to add 90 innings. Now, I again think that's a mistake when people say you add 50 innings. These are over, especially after COVID. Go look at COVID. Guys went from 5 innings to 200, 185 the next one, whatever the next season. So we got to be careful with that. Brian Wu goes at the turn again. Not to point anybody out. That's not what we're doing here. But one of the reasons why you want to stick with people that are always updating, you got to be on top of the injury news, man. It's very important to not take zeros. Wu has shoulder inflammation. Unfortunately, we know that sometimes turns into Dr. Ella Trosh, Dr. James Andrews, and then season's over. And, that's a round 16 pick. You can't burn a round 16 pick. You can't do that. So he goes Wu and Yuri Perez, doubling up on the injury risk. I'm not going to do that. We're going to dip into the spring training pool. Call my boy Jack Flaherty again, right? Well, this is what we're doing. Looking for potential. We're looking for swing and miss ability. And Flaherty has been brilliant, right? There was a time where Jack Flaherty was thought of as a front line starter. And then, injuries kind of creep in, derail a couple of seasons. And it's very easy for us to say, forget this guy. Check out the numbers. I just happen to have him here. Flaherty's made 6 starts in the spring. 2.95 ERA with a sub 1 whip, 0.90, 8 whip, 18 and a third, 26 strikeouts Woo! To only 4 walks. Opponents batting 215 against him. Flaherty's been phenomenal. The ballpark in Detroit is phenomenal for pitching. So, right, we're just looking to check boxes. We're looking to, again, this is not like John Farrell, all the best Cy Young candidates after pick 200. Again, a lot of the guys that I really like have already gotten clipped. I was hoping we were going to have a Bayo and a Crawford, and we'd be able to get Flaherty on the next turn. We don't have that luxury. So, remember, sometimes you eat the right hand, okay? I ate the right hand in front of, a few hundred people by the time this is all said and done. Such is life in the big city. I would recommend it. Remember, I made this point earlier on. It's fine. I'm not pissed. I don't beat myself up about this stuff. I never do. I identified earlier on the same way when I suggested, even when you're thinking about dropping back on infielders, because you only start 3 and you're up against so many studs, it might make a good deal to kind of get one. I think for pitching, it's even more important because why? Right, validating our arguments here. Whereas there will be starting second baseman, starting infielders available undrafted that are playing every day, check all the boxes. There are not pitchers. So I would say you can punt all your infielders back still. I would say you cannot punt all your pitchers back. You can't do it. This is not enough. I'm not happy that this pitching staff is gonna be enough to get us over the top side. Montgomery, Bryce Miller, Kyle Harrison, Ryan Pepio, Jack Flaherty. I mean, you're asking for an absolute ton. What would make me feel better is if early on we had gone with the Freddie Peralta. And maybe the opportunity cost of a Freddie Peralta as now where, again, outfielder is really kind of slim. It's really tough, and I'm not really interested. But Nolan Gorman, Edward Julian, Andrew Vaughn. Those are my top 3 infielders. Again, every single day, top 3 of the lineup on a good team. Well, the White Sox not a good team, but he checks at least 2 of the boxes. That's why he was 3rd. But so you can see the opportunity cost in real life kind of work itself out in real time. Why you may want a number 1 infielder, you probably need a number 1 pitcher because the opportunity cost gets slanted, right? So if you drop back on outfielders, make sure that you load them up, go up to 7. I always want to have 7 pitchers. I'll go up to 8 pitchers if I cut to 12 hitters. If I do that, I want my hitters up front. However, now I know addendum. If I'm doing that and push my hitters up front, make room for 1 pitcher. Because, again, like I can stomach mixtures of Montgomery and Pepio at the 2, Miller and Harrison Flaherty for the 3. And then remember, we're still going to add on another 2 players here. But without that kind of sturdy ace that we feel really confident in to have the big season, I think this was probably a mistake. Okay, could I get into the playoffs and get lucky? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you nail your hitting picks, again, right, I've done enough bashing. The infield, Rafi Devers, Bo Bichette, those are beasts. Then the Reese Hoskins, Willie Adames stack with Christian Uncanelcio Strand and Cabrian Hayes. Like, the infield is stacked. We could have a bunch of the INF1s, right? A bunch of infielder ones, top 12 infielders. We have several of them. We have 3 of the 12. Wish cast of it still. Then Juan Soto, Luis Robert, Jazz Chisholm, Jordan Walker, Riley Green, and James Outman. I mean, again, we could have 3 of the top 12. We could bully our way on offense into the playoffs. And then just, again, hope that the pitching timing works out. Jack Flaherty has a 2-start week, the same week that Pepio goes 7. Again, I tried to mention this twice already and derailed myself. Pitching is really tough, again, because of those limited opportunities. As much as we love Corbin Burns, I was using this example yesterday. Corbin Burns goes out, goes 6 1/3, gives up 2 runs, strikes at 6. Pretty damn good game, right? He's even got you the quality start. But let's see, he doesn't get you to win. It's just a mass start. And that's it for the week. Doors closed. Doors closed. There's going to be a ton of pitchers that outscore him. A ton of pitchers that outscore him. So just to put some perspective on it, and again, it's not to. I wonder if this person's a fan of mine, Ryan Noda, just right in front of me. Oh my gosh, whoever you are, oh man, I salute you for drafting Ryan Noda. That is my boy, and I'll take him as my last infielder. It hasn't really gotten there. Okay, so we're up next. We're gonna go. How about my boy, the winged lion, Griffin Canning? Right, big fan against big swing and miss ability. The Angels should be moving back to a 5-man rotation with the departure of Shohei Ohtani. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, but who's to say he's not going to make 30 starts? He's at least in line. Again, let me stop. When we have injured guys, this is one of the principles that I work with is I don't find teams baby injured guys. We hear that a lot. Like, oh, and he's had a track record. I kind of see the opposite. If you're getting healthy bullets from a guy, they want to go. I think the pitcher wants to go too. Guy's never had a healthy season. He's finally putting one together. You're going to put the reins on him? I don't think so. I'm not saying they're making Griffin Canning throw at 130 pitches. I don't think that. But I also think he's throwing 90 pitches as many times as he can every 5 days. I truly believe that. No, I truly believe that. Let's see. I got one last guy queued up. I didn't mention his name because I really wanted to make sure he was my final pitching pick because I'm really not crazy about what's left. It's not great. It's not great. But here we go. I'm going to eat up the entire 30 seconds. And let's take the auto on this one. Pat myself in the back because this is one of those things. Again, let's tie in all the bowls, right? Spinning all the bowls. How late decisions can kind of, inform the ones earlier. And so this is a perfect example of a player that probably I'd be surprised if he was even drafted at all up until like a week or so ago. And that's Max Meyer on the Miami Marlins. He made the rotation. He's awesome. He has been hurt multiple times. He's been brilliant and lighting up the spring. Miami's also had a rash of pitcher injuries. I just have a hard time thinking that if he's like healthy, I just think he's going. Myers had 7 scoreless so far through spring. He's yet to give up a run. Top tier prospect, lots of top side potential. Right, the thought was he could be a frontline starter. Who's to say he's not the breakout guy this year? I don't know. But again, I probably wish that I had a real ace. Shannon jumps in again. Thank you so much. Just take a Giants pitcher or focus on pitchers parks, right? Yeah, I really like Harrison anyway, right? He's got big strikeout stuff in the minors. He showed he can kind of control the walks if he puts it together. He's the kind of guy. He checks the box of a big-time breakout candidate, but you just don't want too many of them. I think it also goes for, Detroit, right? That's part of the thesis with Flaherty. Also, it's funny. I think Mize actually probably checks that box too. I'm pretty sure they just named him the starter. I might go with that. Might be my pick if he gets there. Again, he's 26 and has 188 total innings. He had 10 innings last year, 150 before that, 28 the year before that. Again, former number 1 overall pick. I actually don't have him on my ranks. I have to add him. So hopefully no one's listening to take Casey Mize, but I'm looking at Mize, and if not, I have a couple of guys lined up. Maybe I like Silseth on the Angels. Also, he was one of, I think it was 15 starters last year that had 2 pitches with a 30% whiff rate. He also can throw them to either-handed hitter, right? One was for lefties, one was for righties, which is part of the success. So, again, you're looking for stabs at the end, but these are not just blind. Like a lot of these pitchers, I don't know if I like. Again, Bradish is hurt. We don't know when we're going to come back. The same good news, but I just worry about setbacks. Maybe it's me. Lance Lynn, the floor of Lance Lynn is 0. Eduardo Rodriguez out with the lat. So we just have people taking all the injured pitchers. And I don't know. I'm skeptical. You can pay me skeptical. They could be the player that makes the difference this year. It could be. I'm not really feeling it. It's not part of my plan. I want him. I want him up front. Again, Mize goes to the turn. Hat tip to you if you were listening. I didn't really know Mize was on that list of kind of draftable players, but just look, people, so you get an idea. This is what I wanted to mention. Glad I brought it up. How by the time you get beyond round 16, the outfielders are it's just terrible. It's just garbage. I'm sorry, these are not draftable players. So I just don't think you can play Jock Peterson. He's like he's a platoon guy. There's gonna be weeks where he flats out. I guess if you're saying he fits the bill of the monster home runs in a week, I guess they've just been so steadfast about not playing him every day that I just worry about it. Jose Siri has homer speed potential, but also like 200 batting average kind of guy. And he's been just god awful this spring. And again, I know I let off saying we don't want to overreact this spring. Hopefully, I don't think it's overreaction. Like we're using the already existing track record and then building a little bit off into it, right? I mean, so a player was kind of bad, and then it continues to kind of be bad. He's batted 162, 13 strikeouts, and 37 APs, so a 33% strikeout rate with sub 200, not any good. Jeremy says, beginning another draft in. I want to do one with you. Appreciate you, man. Yo, hat tip. Hopefully you signed up. Promo code's MMN. That's the first $100. If you've noticed, Jeremy, follow me at Twitter at John Legeza. JOHNLEGHEZZA. I will always tweet before I jump in, right? Now, the thing with Underdog is you don't know how many people are in the room, but I do always tweet, right? I'm not avoiding anybody. I feel like I was up against my ranks in at least one spot where we're like a few picks away here. I'm down to just like a couple, literally just a couple of pitchers. I mentioned Andrew Abbott before. I mentioned Chase Silseth. Then I have to go down to my very bottom rank. It's James Paxton, man, but he really worries me. I think you're going to get impact. You mentioned Giants pitchers before. We got Keaton Wynn floating down there, maybe Kenta Maeda, Reese Olson, Louis Varland. Just to give an idea of the availability, it's not great, right? It's not great. I'm almost tempted to go like Jacob, which I know I was talking about zeros, but last pick. If one of my two guys is there, I will. Maybe Reese Olson. I think I mentioned him. I'm scanning. I'm sorry, I'm losing eye contact here, but there's just not much at the bottom. Oh, you know what? I found him. Okay, I found the one I wanted. I'm not seeing it out loud. Okay, we're going to go. This is another one. I mentioned Meyer. This one, he goes in the Meyer bin, and it's Gavin Stone. Right, so again, Gavin Stone, kind of a highly touted prospect. Came up, really kind of struggled. He's been very, very good in the spring. Won a rotation spot for the Dodgers. And, that's just about as good as we could hope for. And that'll just about do it, everybody. Thank you so much. Hold on, I see a comment flashing. So, Jeremy, you hit me up, man. Hit me up on Twitter and, check it out, and we'll jump in. I'm going to keep doing at least one a day. And then I haven't done a live stream best ball draft this season. Oh, baby. That's what it's all about. It's all about the live stream best ball draft when you roll with us. So that's Mayo, Medianet, Big, Johnny Stud coming to you worldwide from Brooklyn, New York. Make sure you're signed up to Underdog. You're playing responsibly. $100 first deposit match. MMN is the code. Over the shoulder there. Over the shoulder bowler holder. Getting you paid in the shade, laid like an egg, baby. All right, so that'll just about do it. You hit me up on Twitter with any questions. I get you hooked up, get you linked up to the data. You can upload the ranks and just kind of walk away. I'm going to keep smashing these drafts, Bill, because I want to win 100K. So if you're digging it, get in the comments. Let us know how we're doing. You can hit us up on Twitter. Let us know how you're doing. I will get to you. And, that'll do it. So thanks for picking up what we're putting down here at Mayo Media Net. One last thing. Remember, when you work, it's hard. Feels a lot less like luck, yo. Peace out. We'll get to the very, very end. I can't believe it, man. I can't believe it. Hit us up. Make sure you subscribe, man. That shit matters more than it should. Peace out, yo.